Hello and welcome to Community Connection. I'm Iowa City Mayor Bruce Teague. Our community is examining our systems in light of the Black Lives Matter movement, looking to remove barriers and improve equity for all residents. While these efforts are ramped up right now, the work to improve the opportunities for people of color have been in motion for years. I'm pleased to be joined by Orville and Billie Townsend today, two longtime Iowa City residents and organizers in our community. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yes, busy times here the past few weeks with COVID-19 and Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Yes. So can you tell us, how long have you been in Iowa City?
Well, I came to Iowa City in 1962 on a football scholarship from East St. Louis, Illinois.
And
And
Billie?
I came here in 1989 to marry this guy. So it's been 31 years since I've been following him around.
And you've been very active, the both of you have been very active in our community. And
Yeah.
so I know that Orville, you've served on, or you're currently serving on the Community Police Review Board.
Yeah, I've been on multiple boards. The Corrections Advisory Board. I was on the board of directors of the Iowa City Community School District. Twice I participated, actually 3 times. And University of Iowa Athletic Mentoring Board and Black Voices.
Yes, and I know that we're active on Black Voices together on the Black Voices Project. And then Mrs. Townsend, you are also not letting any dust get under your feet either.
No, I've been on several boards. Currently, University of Iowa Retirement Association. I chair our president of the Iowa Black Alumni Association. I'm on Planning and Zoning Commission, Black Voices Projects, and the UI Athletic Mentoring Program. And I have been on several other boards, Human Rights Commission, Riverside Theater Board, when I was at the university, African American Council and Staff Council. So, yeah, we stay busy.
Well, I appreciate all that you've done within our community, and because you have made a difference. There's many people that I've talked to that knows the Townsends, and they know you from your board work and the things that you've done. So thanks for all you're doing there. Black Lives Matter. So this is something that, George Floyd death has caused our entire nation to pause and look at what Black Lives Matter mean, some of the challenges that we faced as Black people of color within the United States of America. I've had several conversations with you all relating to Black Lives Matter and just the way that our country has treated Black folks, up until now. So maybe wanted to just talk about a little bit. We know that there's been protesters out there, and want to get your reaction to some of that.
Well, personally, I feel that it's just a reaction of anger and frustration erupting. It's like a volcano. It's been simmering a long time, and you just had one event that set it off. And, it's a frightening combination, but I think we got to realize it's there. And I think we need to respect how each individual expresses their feelings about what's going on in our country.
And personally, I think, the Freedom Riders have done a great job in getting their points across. It's something about this period, this time, that is different, because before you could tell people what you were going through. And of course, usually they would think, oh, you're over exaggerating, or you're not real, you didn't really hear it that way, or you didn't see that. But when you can actually physically see what's going on and how Black folks have been treated, it opens your eyes to a whole different world. So the Freedom Riders are asking for things that we've been asking for years. And now they're being looked at differently, I think, because of the times and because of what people are actually seeing. And they're seeing that there really is something going on.
Mr. Townsend, you just mentioned everybody's responding in their own way. It's kind of a crisis, is how I see it. And people are expressing themselves in ways, they're angered, they're expressing their frustrations in various ways. One of the things that I've been saying is when we have a flood or we have a tornado, we kind of know the recipe of the effects of that. We'll see those. We kind of know how it's going to be expressed. The flood is going to block up a street, or it's going to go into a basement. The tornado is going to knock down a tree, or knock out a window, or take a house away. But when we're talking about this race, the protesters and the anger of actually seeing George Floyd. See, we saw that.
We saw that.
We saw that. And so that was, the emotions were unpredictable. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that's a crisis that people are, experiencing, and how they're expressing it is unpredictable. And so I don't know that we can treat this the same as we've treated other things within our community by a textbook. I think it really is an expression that is unpredictable, and we need to be a little cautious that we get people through the crises moment, that those unpredictable feelings, and to another level where the conversations could be had.
A lot of it has to do with how we look at things, how we feel. Like, you talked about the tornado, and you talked about shelter. And let's take a hypothetical situation and say that, that tornado basically destroys one of the people who I don't agree with, destroys their home, but I still have mine. Even though I don't agree with this person, I'm going to open my door and welcome this person into my shelter. I'm not going to leave them out there alone just because we don't agree. I mean, disagreement is healthy in a lot of ways. But I think personally, I choose to respect other people and their views, and at the same time request that they respect me and my views. But we work, try to work together, even though it's differently, that we keep working and try to come out with an outcome that's going to be a winning solution.
You're on the CPRB, and I know that one of the challenges with the CPRB that I've heard from you and other members has been some of the authority that you all have. Can you talk a little bit about the CPRB? And CPRB means Community Police Review Board.
Well, the way it's set up now is like it's just a formality, a procedure. If a citizen complains and feels that their rights have been violated and they lodge a complaint against the police department, then, we look at the information and we come to a conclusion of how we feel about the situation. And then we write up a report, and that report goes to the city council. And then we're through. We don't hear anything about, what was done, what happened. So, it's right now, the Police Community Board, we're just a group of people that go through a process. But, there's no power. And I think it's great that we do have a system that allows citizens input. But I would like for that input to have some meaning to guarantee that the citizen is going to be treated fairly.
One of the things that council has kind of adopted within the 17 resolutions is that freedom for the CPRB to seek counsel to figure out more opportunities that you may have under the current system, as well as began to advocate for new things through legislative process, which council will also be looking at. So the CPRB, I think right now you have the opportunity to look at some of the things that you mentioned that is like holding you back from doing some of the things that you want to do. So that's a great opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think we're lucky. I mean, we've got an excellent police, force, and a lot of the cases that come before us, it's just something that recommending training can correct. But at the same time, I've been in our city for quite a while, and I'll tell you, when my kids were home and they were driving, I spent a fortune on our car, just keeping it so that the tail light was working, because I didn't want my kid to have to deal with a racist policeman. And we had some. I mean, I've had positive situations multiple times where the officer violated my right because he had the power. But, we're at a different place now, and, we had a police chief that was superb, and he's gone. We lost him. So we're on a search now, and I'm hoping that we can get a police chief that's going to step in and, take us where we need to be.
Well, I appreciate your input on our current police force, our past police chief. I share the same remarks when it comes down, especially to the chief of police previous. I felt that he really was trying to listen to our community, Black people of color specifically, and he was working on that. And in our entire police force, I think there's opportunities for more training on a large level, but I would have to agree that we do have a good police force. There are some things that we're going to look at to ensure that we have an excellent police force here in our community.
And again, the last police chief, he created a program so if a citizen got stopped for tail light, he even worked with the mechanics and fixed it so that, they could basically, get the light fixed at a reasonable price. So he was really working, thinking about the citizens.
Yes, and there's definitely some things that our police force has put in place to kind of decrease some of those contacts that have caused some challenges in the past. Fixing a busted out light, those are some things that I think we can build upon because we've started that, which is great.
I think the good thing about it is being an old time and having been in our city as long as I have, that to me was a big step, because when I was coming along earlier, that tail light on my car, we had some policemen that would have used that as a reason to harass the Black citizens. So, the police chief is a leader, and that's a good example. It's the epitome of, the power of the position and the attitude that goes with it.
We have people in our community that are giving their personal stories, and I think that it's important for the police department to hear those personal stories because it really can bring just hearing what people of color have experienced through our police department. I really believe that should be a part of the curriculum as well. I do want to switch to Mrs. Townsend because I know that you're very active, especially when it comes down to you're the president of the Iowa
Black Alumni Association.
Iowa Black Alumni Association, and you've also been involved with other committees, as you mentioned, at the University of Iowa. In regards to diversity, can you talk a little bit about that from your vantage point?
Because of all the things that have been going on campus, we did pen a letter to President Carroll. And I won't go into detail about it because he hasn't responded as yet. But we asked for several things from him, including a Zoom meeting to talk about the things that we don't feel are being addressed on campus. A few of those, of course, we know about the athletes and their responses to the way they've been treated. And recruitment and retention on campus with people of color. So we're trying to at least have a voice on campus so that they know that there are people that have been there and that have been students there that are interested in what's going on.
Right now is the opportunity for people of color specifically to reach out and to share some of the experiences or even some of the direct ask of what would be beneficial in order to get us to a different place to overcome diversity or to ensure that we have diversity and equity in all of the programs that we have. And so I know that you're very involved, in our community. And so what would you say to individuals out there that are people of color as far as like allowing their voices to be heard?
For people of color, I think we just need to speak up. The problem, especially with students, is they come into this area and they may not be accustomed to Iowa City. So they think that the things they're going through, it's just unusual, that nobody else is going through it and nobody else has walked in their shoes. And for us, as members that have been students and teaching and staff at the university and members of this community, we need to let them know that they're not by themselves. And we're just here to try to make it better. But as students, it's difficult for them to come into this area and try to change things. So if we aren't there as their voice, if we aren't there to fight for them, then things will never change. And I think that's something that's happening now. Is we're at a point now where we can make things happen.
Yes, both of you have kind of somewhat mentioned changes that we've seen a little bit throughout our community, but we know that there's a lot more work to do, right? We're not going to let people off the hook as far as the work that still needs to be done. But I do believe that it can do great value to point out some of the progresses that has been made by the Black student alumni, by Black Voices Project, even by the CPRB. Even though there's been, we haven't accomplished everything that we want, but there has been some accomplishments that's been made.
Bruce, I think we're at a point where, we just can't do business as usual. I think we're at a point where each individual has got to step up and show that they are seriously taking some form of ownership in this community. When I decided not to move to California, after I graduated from college and to stay here, our city became my home. So anything you come in this city and you do, you are either respecting or you are disrespecting my city. And I'm willing to stand up and take some ownership. And I think we're to a point where ownership is going to be a necessity.
Also, Bruce, let's give credit for credit's due. We have you as our mayor, and of course, as an African American. Our mayor pro tem is also Black. We've come a long way. We've got representation on most of the councils. I'm on Planning and Zoning Commission, my husband on Police Review Board. We've both been on Human Rights Commission, but we're just two people. We need other people to step up, other Black folks to step up and take part in these commissions and a part of the governing system of the Iowa City community.
There are opportunities where, at least with city government, there is boards and commissions that people can apply for. And I would encourage anybody out there that really wants to know more about Iowa City and how they can get plugged into some of the things that we're doing to reach out. Reach out to the Townsends, because I know you all have been around a while and you're willing to talk to people. Reach out to me, reach out to city staff so that we can kind of educate on opportunities.
And while you're reaching out, I mean, just because, I'm political and I'm willing to lay back and take the slow route, Like I said earlier, if somebody comes and they want to take the fast route and they want to do it differently, then my thing is, if I see that person getting ready to, you know, exhibit an action that I feel is not appropriate or not right, I'll share with that person that, hey, I don't think that's right. I wouldn't do that. But at the same time, if that person chooses to proceed, if they get bruised a little bit, I'm gonna be there to pick them up because this is my city. I need to be there. And I need to work with people. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. We have to do it together.
But the thing we can't forget, we can't do it ourselves by ourselves. This is a white community. And until the majority of people speak up and speak out, it's not going to change. It's not going to change quickly. But the responsibility that has to be taken is that after they see what's going on and they see how things are happening, they too have to speak out and speak up. So we can't let that be this isn't our problem. This is everybody's problem.
It is everybody's problem, and it's everybody's responsibility.
Exactly.
It really is everybody's responsibility, and on an individual basis, because we can create the greatest policies in the world, but individually, people must understand what Black Lives Matter mean. They must understand what systemic racism mean, and how to not contribute and to end it. And so that's one of the things that I think is most vital is individual change that really needs to be made as well.
And I don't think we should be afraid to, say and share, if it comes to that, to just say, I can't breathe. This is a time for action.
Yes.
It's important that we all be involved in our way and give whatever little bit that we have, but together we can be so mighty.
Yes, yes, yes. And with that, I wanted to know if there's any closing words that you would like to share with us. I'm so appreciative for your time today, just to talk to you, as I always have been.
For me, I've been listening to Jane Elliott, the Iowa woman who talks about every white person being racist and every white person being privileged. And that until you realize that, you don't understand how I walk in my shoes as a Black person. So it's different. The lives we lead are very different, and the steps we take are very different. So I think that we should all listen to her and see what she has to say and see if we really buy into what she's preaching. I personally love to listen to her because it gives me a different reality of how things are in the other world.
Hey, and I'll just say, today things may be a little foggy and we were trying to work and make things happen, but the old saying, tomorrow can be a better day. And if you really believe that, then you shouldn't mind getting involved and doing everything you can to bring about the changes that will assure that tomorrow will be a better day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you both so much, and I hope you have an awesome and amazing day.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
And you're doing a great job, Bruce.
Stay well.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You too, take care. That's our episode. If you would like to follow along with our progress on the Black Lives Matter movement, you can visit icgov.org/BLM. We'll be back again with another episode of Community Connection, and I hope you'll join us. Until then, remember, we're all in this together.